At the annual family photo, my brother looked at me and threw me a look, get him out of the frame. He's ruining everything. Dad didn't even turn around, he just said, yeah, take him out. We don't need him in the family. Nobody objected. Nobody even looked in my direction. I said, you're gonna regret this. And I walked away. A year later, I did something that split the family. Now they call every hour, please come back, we'll do anything you want. Just talk to us. I don't usually post stuff like this. Honestly, I never thought I'd be that person, typing out my family drama for strangers on the internet. But something happened a few weeks ago that I haven't been able to shake. And the more I replay it in my head, the more it messes with me. So maybe I just need to write it all down. Maybe I need someone out there to tell me I'm not crazy. That what happened really was as screwed up as it felt. It all went down at my family's annual picture day. Sounds harmless, right? Cute even. But in our house, picture day is less about capturing memories and more about curating an image. My family's obsessed with appearances. Matching outfits, polished smiles, everyone pretending we're the perfect unit for social media. The whole thing's a production, and it's been that way since I was a kid. It started with my grandma, Eleanor. Back when she was more active, she used to organize everything. Pick the colors, book the photographer, hand out little combs to the grandkids before we went outside. But now she mostly just sits in her recliner by the window, watching us shuffle around like overgrown children. She doesn't say much anymore, just gives you that long, tired look like she's seen it all and none of it surprises her. Anyway, this year was the same routine as always. People started trickling into Grandma's house around noon. Everyone had their assigned shirt color. This year it was burgundy, because apparently that photographs well against the backyard hedges. I wore the exact shirt my mom told me to. I even ironed it. I showed up, did what I was told. But the second I walked in, I felt it. That weird tension in the air, like I'd accidentally walked in on a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. A few nods. A half-hearted hey from my cousin Jenny, who immediately went back to scrolling her phone. No hugs, no small talk, just this quiet shift in the room, like everyone collectively decided I didn't really belong there. I'd be lying if I said I didn't expect it, at least a little. I've always known I wasn't the favorite. My younger brother Tyler, now he's the crown jewel of the family, always has been, the all-American golden boy. He's the one in the middle of every photo, the one who gets tagged in family Facebook posts with hearts and prayer hands and, so proud of our boy, captions. Me? I'm the one they crop out by accident and never bother to repost. So of course it started with Tyler. I hadn't even been in the house 5 minutes when he looked me up and down and said, "You really still haven't figured out how to dress yourself, huh?" He laughed like it was a joke. But he wasn't joking. Classic Tyler. He can't help himself. Always has to jab, has to be the one with the last word. I didn't bite, just shrugged it off. Headed into the kitchen to see if anyone needed help. Nobody did. Or if they did, they didn't ask me. My dad, Rick, was in the backyard already, fiddling with the lighting like he was setting up for a magazine shoot. He gets weirdly intense about photo day, like it's a branding exercise for the whole family. Mom was flitting around inside, smiling a little too hard, directing people like a cruise ship activity coordinator who's won. "Do you need another mimosa?" Away from snapping, we finally moved outside to start setting up. Same tired fake grass. Same old folding chairs. Even the same cheesy family block letters my Aunt Bridget insists on dragging out every year. My Uncle Dan was arguing with someone about where to put the dog, because God forbid Buddy ruin the aesthetic. And I'm just standing there holding my coffee, watching everyone spiral over this picture. This image that nobody really even looks at after it gets its 150 likes and a few beautiful fam comments. Tyler's already getting pissy because apparently this is taking too long, and he's got somewhere more important to be. He keeps checking his phone, sighing like we're all wasting his precious time. But he won't leave. He never leaves. Not until he's gotten his photo op and his ego boost. Then Dave, the family friend who moonlights as a photographer, calls out, "All right, everyone, let's get into place." So we start lining up. I end up, as always, on the far right, out of frame if someone zooms in too much. Tyler, center stage, arms crossed, smirking like he's about to drop a mixtape. And that's when it happened. Tyler turns, looks me dead in the eye, and says, out loud, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Can someone get Marcus out of the shot? He's kind of ruining the whole look." I laughed. I thought it was a joke. Crappy one, sure, but still a joke. So I chuckled and looked around, waiting for someone to roll their eyes and tell him to knock it off. No one did. Dead silence. My dad, without even looking at me, goes, "Yeah, take him out. He doesn't need to be in this one." And the thing that hit the hardest? Nobody disagreed. Not one person said, "Hey, that's not cool." Not even a "wait, what?" My mom looked down at her feet. Uncle Dan shifted over like making room for me to leave. Even Grandma didn't say a word, just stared out the window, her mouth a flat line. I stood there for way too long, probably. Just frozen. Waiting for someone to laugh and say, "All right, joke's over, come back." But they didn't. Tyler just stood there, smug, and said, "Seriously, can you move?" Then he actually reached out, put his hand on my shoulder, and tried to guide me out of the frame like I was some drunk uncle photobombing a wedding. That's when I pushed him. Not hard. Just enough to make him stumble a step back. And he lost it. Started yelling about how I always ruin things, how I make everything about me, how I can't just show up and act normal for one day. Dad jumped in. Told me to stop acting like a child. Told me I was never good at being part of this family. That I always had to make it a scene. And that was it. That was the line. Something in me snapped. I don't even remember exactly what I said, but it was something like, "You'll regret this sooner than you think." Then I turned around and walked out. Slammed the backyard gate behind me. Didn't care how loud it was or who heard it. Nobody followed me. I sat in my car for a while afterward, just scrolling through nothing, letting the quiet buzz of the AC fill the silence. Thought about going back inside. Thought about pretending none of it happened like I've done 100 times before. But I couldn't. I looked through the living room window before I pulled out. They were all still there. Grouped together, laughing. Tyler said something that made everyone crack up. And I swear to God, for a second, it felt like I wasn't just out of the photo, I was out of the family entirely. That's when I knew this wasn't just a bad moment. It wasn't just Tyler being a jerk. It was the truth slipping out, the part they usually keep just barely hidden under all the smiles and family slogans and holiday toasts. They don't want me there. Maybe they never really did. After that day, I didn't hear from anyone. Not a single text, not a missed call. You'd think after something like that anyone would reach out. But no, just silence. A thick, weird kind of silence that made it obvious the whole thing wasn't a mistake or a heat-of-the-moment screw-up. They meant it. Took about 2 days before I realized I'd been quietly removed from the family group chat. No notification. No Marcus left the group message. Just gone. I figured it out when I saw my cousin Faith reply to something I couldn't see. I messaged her directly, asked what it was. She replied, "Oh, I thought you left?" Nah, I didn't leave. I was erased. Birthdays, barbecues, random Sunday hangouts, all still happening. Just not for me. They'd post stories and photos like everything was fine. Like I'd never been there. Tyler front and center, as usual. Mom in the background smiling like her whole life wasn't held together with pins and denial. And me? Nowhere. Not even mentioned in comments. It was like I'd been cut out of more than just the photo. At first, I tried to make excuses for them. Maybe they needed space. Maybe they were embarrassed. Maybe they didn't know what to say. But the longer the silence stretched, the more obvious it became. They weren't avoiding the subject. They were avoiding me. It wasn't even that I wanted a grand apology or some dramatic confrontation. I wanted someone to acknowledge it. Just one person to say, "Hey, that was messed up. I'm sorry." But nothing came. Except, eventually, a short text from my mom. All it said was, "Hope you're okay." No punctuation. No follow-up. I replied, "I'm fine." She didn't text back. That was the moment something shifted. Because here's what they didn't think through. I might be the black sheep, the quiet one, the outsider, but I'm also the one Grandma trusted with the family fund. It's not a ton of money, but it's enough. A trust set up for group vacations, emergency expenses, reunion venues, you name it. I've been the one managing it for the past 3 years. Grandma put me in charge because I was the only one who wouldn't get emotional about it. Funny how that turned out. I never used the fund for myself. I just approved the requests, filed the receipts, and followed the basic guidelines she gave me. Until now, nobody questioned it. They'd send me a text or email with a breakdown, I'd check it off, done. But after the photo incident, the requests kept coming, like nothing had happened. The first was an email from my dad. "Hey Marcus, can you sign off on the Airbnb for the family lake trip?" No mention of what happened. No acknowledgement. Then Tyler texted me, same tone. "Hey bro, need the okay on the cabin rental. You good to approve?" No apology. Just a straight line from "we pushed you out" to "we still expect you to handle the money." So I did something I never did before. I ignored them. No answer for 2 days. Then Mom called me, the first actual call since the whole thing blew up. She didn't say hi, just jumped right in. "I know things have been tense, but could you just help out this once? For the trip. It would mean a lot to your father." I told her, calmly, to email me the full request with receipts and justification. That's what Grandma's rules said to do if things ever got weird. Mom went quiet, then said, "Okay," and hung up. I checked the request later that day. They were asking for almost double the usual amount. No receipts, no itemization, just rental house, food, miscellaneous. Like I was supposed to just rubber stamp it. So I didn't. Instead, I replied with a copy of the rules. I highlighted the parts about transparency and proper documentation. I kept it polite, detached, professional. That's when the guilt text started. Tyler messaged, "Why are you being petty?" Then, "You're seriously gonna ruin the whole trip over this?" Then, "This is classic you." I didn't reply. I wasn't trying to be petty. I wasn't even trying to punish them. I was just done pretending. Done being the backup plan. The one they ignored until they needed something. And the truth? Felt kind of good. I started applying the rules strictly, not to spite them, but because it was the first time in years I had a boundary, and I was sticking to it. Every request, documented. Every expense, verified. If something didn't match, I sent it back. No exceptions. Grandma's rules. At first they thought I was bluffing. Then they realized I wasn't. Dad emailed again. This time he CC'd Mom and Aunt Bridget. The subject line said, "Family Unity." The body was a long paragraph about trust and forgiveness and how we shouldn't let small misunderstandings tear us apart. I replied with a bullet point breakdown of the fund guidelines and what they'd failed to provide. Tyler stopped texting for a week after that. Meanwhile, the silence from the rest of the family became louder. I ran into my aunt at the grocery store. She gave me a tight smile, said, "Hi," and kept walking. No small talk. No "how've you been?" Just gone. Like if she lingered too long, someone would see her talking to the villain. That's what I was now, the villain. All because I refused to act like nothing happened. But then something unexpected happened. Grandma called. She doesn't call often anymore. Her voice is quieter these days. But she said simply, "I heard they're making a mess of things." I didn't know what to say. I just said, "Yeah." She paused. Then said, "They always do." It was the first time she'd ever even hinted that she was on my side. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't just enforcing rules. I was finally standing up for myself. They froze me out like I didn't matter. They treated me like I was disposable. Now they were learning what it looked like to live without me. And honestly, I wasn't sure I wanted to go back. I thought they'd back off once I held my ground. Maybe skip a few months of fund requests. Maybe even reflect on how things had gone down. But no. They doubled down. The requests didn't stop, they just got messier. Sloppier even. Tyler sent me an email with 3 lines. "Hey, need approval for the lake house." Shouldn't be a problem, right? No numbers. No breakdown. No receipts. Just an assumption that I'd do what I always did, keep the peace. This time I didn't. I replied with Grandma's guidelines attached. Highlighted the parts that required full documentation. I even added, "happy to process once everything's submitted." The next morning, I got a voice message from Dad. "Let's not make this into a thing. You're being difficult. This is family. Family." Funny how that word only gets used when they want something. I responded, again, with the rules. That's when the tone shifted. They stopped pretending this was normal. Tyler called and tried to joke his way through it. Dude, you really going full IRS on us? But I wasn't laughing. I told him straight, you don't get to treat me like a problem and expect favors on demand. He hung up. From there, it got more tense. Every fund request was now a battlefield. I rejected a spa day disguised as a family planning session. Asked Bridget for a breakdown of her event logistics. Told Mom I couldn't greenlight a brunch if I didn't know who was even coming. I copied the trust policy into every reply. They hated it, but they had no way around it. A week later, the group chat blew up. Tyler posted something passive-aggressive about when you give people a little power and they act like kings. Bridget liked it, then added a gif of someone rolling their eyes. No one mentioned me by name, but everyone knew who it was aimed at. I didn't respond, because this wasn't about control. It was about finally enforcing the boundary they pretended didn't exist. You could feel the tension ripple through everything. The big birthday trip? Cancelled. Nobody wanted to foot the bill. The reunion brunch? Turned into takeout sandwiches in Bridget's backyard. They posted a few blurry pictures, all forced smiles and stiff poses. The caption read, making the best of it even when some people make it hard. Still no names. Still no honesty. And yet for once I wasn't the one pretending. One afternoon, Tyler showed up at my place. He still had the spare key from years ago. I took it back the second he walked in. I just want to talk, he said. Then talk. He paced around, clearly trying to figure out the right tone. This whole thing is just out of hand. Can't we just move past it? Move past what? You kicking me out of the family photo? Or expecting me to act like it didn't happen? His face dropped. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. He got defensive. Said I was being dramatic. Said I was punishing everyone over a misunderstanding. When I didn't engage, he tried to grab my phone, something about proving I was doing all this on purpose. I shoved his hand away, told him to leave. He slammed the door hard enough to shake the shelves. That night, I got a message from Selena saying, "You're making Mom sick with all this stress." I replied, "I'm not the one who erased her son from the photo." The guilt trip didn't work. What they never understood was that I wasn't looking for revenge. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was just tired. Tired of being the extra. The afterthought. The one they only remembered when there was a form to sign or money to approve. And now that I wasn't playing that role anymore, everything was falling apart. Grandma called me again. Her voice was soft, but steady. "I saw the photos," she said. "It looks like everyone's pretending real hard." I laughed. That's what they're good at. She didn't disagree. Just said they brought this on themselves. She was the only one who saw it clearly. And that gave me peace. They'd spent years acting like I was the crack in the family portrait. Now with me gone, the whole frame was collapsing. And for once, I wasn't rushing in to fix it. I didn't expect a letter. A real one, not an email, not a text. A printed out, folded up letter delivered to my mailbox in an envelope with my name on it. From my dad and Tyler. Signed at the bottom with both their names. Not love or sincerely, just names. The letter asked for a family meeting. Not a phone call. Not a conversation. A full-on sit-down. To resolve tensions and restore unity, it said. Like we were diplomats at a peace summit instead of a family that had ignored me for months until they needed access to a fund. They CC'd half the extended family. Aunts, uncles, even cousins I hadn't seen in years. I guess they thought putting me on display would make me fold. I almost threw it away. But something in me said no. Not this time. So I replied. Happy to meet at Grandma's house. With her present. And I'll be recording the whole thing for transparency. They didn't love that idea. But Grandma said yes. So they had no choice. The day of the meeting, I showed up 5 minutes early. Grandma let me in, poured tea like it was just another Tuesday. "You ready for the circus?" she asked. As I'll ever be. People arrived in waves. Tyler came in with that tense jaw he gets when he's trying to seem calm. Dad brought a binder, no idea what was in it. Bridget whispered something to Selena as they sat. Faith stayed on her phone. Mom smiled like this was Thanksgiving. We sat in that circle, silent, until Dad cleared his throat and started his speech. "We've all made mistakes. But this family means too much to let things fall apart." He talked about legacy. About unity. About how Marcus has every right to his feelings, but we have to move forward. When he was done, I nodded. Then I took out a folder. Inside, every email, every request, every spreadsheet. I laid it out calmly, fact by fact. Every denial had a reason. Every step backed by Grandma's rules. When Tyler interrupted to say I was being unfair, I handed him a printed copy of the trust agreement, the same one he never bothered to read. This isn't revenge, I said. It's accountability. He stood up, slapped the table, said, you're tearing us apart over paperwork. And that's when Grandma spoke. If you don't like the rules, take it up with me. I made them. The room froze. That was the first time anyone besides me had openly said I was right. Tyler sat back down, speechless. Dad tried to salvage the meeting, but it was already done. Jerry stood and left first. Bridget grabbed her purse and muttered, I'm done with this drama. Selena looked like she was about to cry. Faith finally looked up from her phone and said, maybe you all should have thought about this before you froze Marcus out. I hadn't asked her to defend me, but she did. After that, the silence returned, but it was a different kind. Not avoidance. Just distance. I didn't hear from anyone for weeks. Until it started again. First, Mom texted, can you talk to Tyler? He's not himself. Then Dad left a voicemail, I don't want things to end like this. Please call me. Bridget emailed 3 times in one day. Subject line, urgent family matter. Selena wrote, I miss you. We all do. They didn't get it. It was never about being included again. I didn't want their holiday invites or half-hearted apologies. I didn't need them to tag me in a post or force me into another photo. I just wanted them to know I wasn't invisible anymore. That they couldn't cut me out, then reach for me when they needed something. They kept calling. Tyler even showed up at my door again. I didn't open it. He yelled through the door, you're being selfish. The family needs you. I didn't answer. I see Grandma sometimes. We drink tea. Watch birds outside her window. She tells me stories from when she was young, from when family meant showing up not just for the camera but for each other. She says she's proud of me. That she always knew I'd be the one who wouldn't fold. And honestly, I'm proud too. They wanted me out of the picture. Now they're finally seeing what that really looks like. And I'm good with that.